Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with this question. What if the very thing you've been looking for, the freedom, the income, the impact, is already inside of you, waiting to be unlocked? See, too many people are sitting on gifts, talents, and wisdom that could transform lives, but they don't know how to structure it, they don't know how to package it, and they don't know how to monetize it. And that's exactly what I'm here to help you with today. If you're a beginner coach, I'm about to show you the best business model that doesn't just work in theory. It works in practice. It works predictably, and it works for those who are willing to work it. When it comes to building a coaching business, the first principle you need to understand is this: people are not paying you for information, they are paying you for transformation. That distinction right there is the difference between struggling coaches and thriving coaches. Information alone has never changed anyone's life. If information was all it took, everybody would already be rich, everybody would already be fit, everybody would already have perfect relationships. Because the truth is, the information is everywhere. It's free. It's in books, on podcasts, in YouTube videos. But transformation is rare. Transformation is what happens when that information is translated into action, into accountability, into results. And that's what people are willing to invest in. Think about it. If someone wants to lose weight, they don't really need another article about diet plans or workout routines. They've seen 1,000 of those already. What they need is someone who can walk with them through the process, help them overcome the mental blocks, hold them accountable, and push them past the point where they would normally quit. They don't want more knowledge. They want a new version of themselves. That's the same thing your coaching provides. You are not selling content. You are selling a transformation from who they are today to who they want to become tomorrow. Here's the hook you've got to grab. People don't pay based on what something is. They pay based on what something does for them. Nobody buys a drill because they want a drill. They buy a drill because they want a hole in the wall. In the same way, nobody hires a coach just because they want to hear you talk. They hire you because they want a breakthrough, a new mindset, a better business, stronger health, or deeper confidence. They want the outcome. And the more clearly you can communicate that outcome, the more valuable you become. Let me tell you why this matters so much. Coaches who don't understand this principle spend all their time trying to prove how much they know. They stack their programs with endless modules, overwhelm their clients with worksheets, and confuse them with complicated strategies. Then they wonder why clients aren't sticking around or paying premium prices. The reason is simple. People don't want to drown in more information. They are already drowning. What they want is someone who throws them a lifeline and pulls them to safety. That lifeline is transformation. And here's another hook. When you focus on transformation, you position yourself as a necessity instead of an option. See, information is optional. People can take it or leave it. But transformation is life-changing. Once someone sees you as the bridge between where they are and where they want to go, you stop being nice to have and start being must have. That's the power of this principle. So if you're a beginner coach, I want you to stop thinking, I'm selling my time or I'm selling my knowledge. No, you are selling a result. You are selling freedom, clarity, breakthrough, and elevation. That's why your price should reflect the magnitude of that outcome. Imagine if a drowning man argued about the price of a life preserver. Would it make sense? No. Because when someone truly believes you hold the key to their transformation, the cost becomes irrelevant compared to the value. And let me drive this home with one last truth transformation is not just what makes people pay, it's also what makes them stay. Clients who experience real results will become your biggest advocates, your strongest testimonials, and your walking billboards. They will spread your name not because you gave them a bunch of information, but because you helped them step into a new version of themselves. That's the kind of impact that builds not just income, but legacy. The fastest path to freedom as a beginner coach is not hustling to sell dozens of low ticket offers that drain your energy and barely move the needle. It is stepping into the high ticket coaching model where you can serve fewer people at a deeper level and earn the kind of income that actually creates freedom. This is where most coaches miss it. They think the safer route is to start cheap, to price themselves low, and to hope that if they reach enough people, the money will eventually add up. But what really happens? They work harder, they spread themselves thinner, and they burn out long before they reach the success they're chasing. That is not a business model. That's a treadmill, and you don't want to run in place while your dreams are waiting on the other side. Here's the hook that will shift your thinking. Low ticket is not safer. It's actually riskier. It feels comfortable because you tell yourself, more people can afford this. But here's the truth. Just because more people can afford, it doesn't mean they will buy it. And even if they do, it doesn't mean they'll take it seriously. A 27 product attracts people who browse, people who dabble, people who hope. A $3,000 program attracts people who are ready to move, people who are committed, people who will do whatever it takes to change their life. Which client do you think is easier to serve? Which client do you think will actually implement what you teach? Which client do you think will give you better testimonials and referrals? It's not the one looking for the cheapest option. Now let's put some numbers behind this. Imagine you want to make $10,000 a month. If your product is 47, you've got to sell 213 copies every single month just to hit that number. That's 213 new buyers every month. Not once, but consistently. That means you're either spending heavily on ads or grinding nonstop on social media, chasing down strangers, hoping to make the sale. On the other hand, if you had a $5,000 coaching program, you'd only need 2 clients, 2. That's it. Same $10,000, but with far less stress, less complexity, and way more impact. That is the power of the high ticket model. It gives you leverage. And here's the beauty of it. When you charge more, you can deliver more. You can give personal attention. You can tailor your support. You can walk people through the transformation step by step. You're not just throwing them into a course and wishing them luck. You're partnering with them in the process. That makes your work more fulfilling, your clients' results more powerful, and your business more sustainable. This is why the high ticket model is the best business model for coaches who want freedom. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, but I'm just starting out. I don't have a big following. I don't have a huge reputation. Can I really charge high ticket? And the answer is yes, you can. Because people aren't paying for your years of experience. They're paying for the result you can help them achieve. If you can solve a painful problem, if you can guide someone from frustration to freedom, from confusion to clarity, from failure to success, that is valuable, and value commands investment. Don't let the size of your audience determine the size of your price. Let the size of the transformation dictate it. Here's another hook you need to remember. Money follows value, not effort. Some of you are working 10 times harder than you need to because you've been conditioned to believe that hard work equals success. But in business, it's not about how hard you work. It's about how much value you create. and how effectively you capture that value. High ticket coaching is about packaging your expertise in a way that delivers maximum value to your clients and maximum freedom to you. It is about building a business that works for you, not one that drains you. And once you experience the freedom that comes from working with fewer, higher quality clients, you'll never go back to chasing pennies. You'll realize that this is not just about making money. It's about buying back your time, creating space to serve at a higher level, and designing a business that supports the life you want to live. That is what true freedom looks like. And that freedom is waiting for you on the other side of the high ticket model. The greatest barrier most beginner coaches face is not a lack of strategy, not a lack of opportunity, and not even a lack of clients. The biggest barrier is belief. Too many coaches fail to step into their full potential because they simply don't believe in the value of their own gift. They underestimate what they carry. They look at themselves and say, who am I to charge that much? Who am I to position myself as an authority? Who am I to ask people for thousands of dollars? And the real question should be, who are you not to? Because if your knowledge, your experience, your story, and your skill set can shorten someone else's learning curve, spare them years of struggle, and help them create breakthrough, then holding back your value is not humility. It's actually a disservice. Here's the hook you need to grab your lack of belief in your gift will always cost you more than your client's lack of belief in your price. When you doubt your own value, you discount yourself. You settle for less than your worth. You undercharge, you overdeliver, and you exhaust yourself trying to prove your value instead of standing firm in it. But when you believe in the value of your gift, you don't beg for clients. You attract them. You don't chase opportunities. You create them. You don't try to justify your price. You state it with confidence because you know the transformation you provide is priceless. Think about it this way. When a doctor prescribes medicine that will save a patient's life, does he apologize for the cost of the treatment? No, because he knows the value of the outcome is greater than the cost of the process. The same is true in coaching. You are not selling hours of your time. You are not selling videos or worksheets. You are selling a new reality for your clients. And the price of a new reality will always be small compared to the cost of staying stuck. When you understand this, you stop hesitating to charge what you're worth, and you start realizing that not charging enough is robbing your clients of the chance to take their own transformation seriously. Here's another hook. The price you set is not just a reflection of what you believe about yourself. It's a mirror for what your clients will believe about the results. If you position your program at a bargain price, people subconsciously assume it must be less valuable. But when you position it as premium, people approach it with seriousness. They show up differently. They do the work. They lean in. Why? Because the investment signals importance. People don't value what's cheap. They value what costs them something. And if you don't believe in your own value enough to charge appropriately, you'll attract clients who don't value themselves enough to commit fully. Now, let me take it even deeper. Believing in the value of your gift is not arrogance, it's stewardship. If God gave you a talent, if life gave you an experience, if you've acquired knowledge through years of trial and error, then that is not just for you. That is a gift you are meant to multiply by helping others. And when you multiply that gift, the right people will be willing to invest in it because it's not just information to them. It's transformation. The moment you recognize that what you have can alter the trajectory of someone's life, your perspective on price changes. It's no longer about can I charge this much? It becomes, how could I possibly charge less? And let me leave you with this. The only way clients will ever believe in the possibility of their transformation is if you first believe in the power of your gift. Your conviction becomes their confidence. Your certainty becomes their courage. When you speak about your offer with hesitation, they hesitate. When you speak about it with authority, they lean in. So don't shrink. Don't apologize. Don't dilute what you've been called to deliver. Believe in the value of your gift, because until you do, no one else will. And once you do, the world will rise to meet you at the level of your belief. One of the most liberating realizations you can have as a coach is that you do not need to work with everyone. In fact, you should not try to work with everyone. The truth is, not everyone is your client, and not everyone deserves access to your time, energy, and expertise. The difference between building a coaching business that thrives and one that constantly feels draining comes down to this. You must learn to attract the serious, not the curious, because the curious will waste your time, but the serious will change their life with your help. Here's the hook you need to engrave in your thinking. Cheap prices attract cheap commitment. When someone only invests a small amount, they don't feel the weight of that investment. They don't show up fully. They don't apply the principles. They dabble, they delay, they make excuses, and then they blame you when they don't see results. On the other hand, when someone invests significantly in themselves, the decision itself creates a shift. They lean in differently. They take notes differently. They act differently. Why? Because they have skin in the game. They're not curious anymore. They're committed. Think about your own life. Have you ever signed up for something free and never even opened it? Maybe a free course, a free ebook, or a free challenge. There was no urgency, no accountability, no real value attached, so it just sat there. But what about the time you paid a premium price for something that mattered to you? Didn't you show up with intensity? Didn't you squeeze every ounce of value out of it? That's human nature. People don't rise to the level of what they say they want. They rise to the level of what they invest in. That is why you cannot afford to build your business around people who are only curious. Here's another hook. Chasing the wrong clients doesn't just waste your time, it lowers your energy and damages your confidence. Imagine pouring your heart into someone who keeps showing up late, making excuses, or disappearing altogether. At the end of the day, you feel drained and you start questioning whether you're even effective as a coach. But the problem is not your ability to coach. The problem is who you chose to coach. When you attract serious clients, the experience is the complete opposite. They show up prepared, they implement quickly, they celebrate their progress, and they bring energy back to you. Instead of draining you, they fuel you. Instead of doubting yourself, you find yourself more confident and inspired because you see real transformation happening. This is why your pricing, your positioning, and your messaging must all work together to filter out the curious and call in the serious. Don't apologize for being selective. Don't lower your standards just to fill a slot. You are not desperate, and your value is not for everyone. You are looking for the people who are ready, the ones who are willing to put in the work, the ones who are tired of excuses and ready for results. When you focus on those clients, you create a business that grows stronger instead of weaker, a business that energizes you instead of exhausting you. And here's the truth that too many beginner coaches avoid. You can't save people who don't want to be saved. You can't change people who aren't ready to change. If someone is more committed to their excuses than to their breakthrough, no amount of coaching will move them. Your job is not to drag people across the finish line. Your job is to walk with people who are already running toward it. When you accept that, you'll stop wasting your time trying to convince the curious and start multiplying your results with the serious. So raise your standards. Protect your energy. Position yourself as someone who works only with people who are committed to transformation. Because when you attract the serious instead of the curious, your clients win bigger, your business grows faster, and you experience the kind of fulfillment that comes from knowing you're pouring into people who are truly ready to receive what you have to give. The true measure of success in coaching is not just the income you generate, but the impact you create. And here's the powerful truth. When you focus on creating impact, the income will follow, and when you manage that income with wisdom, it becomes a legacy. Too many coaches start out chasing money, thinking if they can just hit a certain income target, life will change. But money by itself does not create meaning. Money without impact is empty. Impact is what gives your work significance, and significance is what fuels lasting wealth. The money you earn is simply the byproduct of the lives you transform. Here's the hook you need to hold on to. Every dollar you make in coaching is evidence of a life you've touched. That's what separates coaching from so many other business models. You are not just selling a product, you are altering someone's destiny. When a client pays you, they're not just exchanging money for knowledge. They're investing in a new version of themselves. And when you deliver that transformation, not only do you change their life, you change their family's life, their community, and potentially generations to come. That ripple effect is impact, and impact multiplied creates legacy. Now think about this. If your goal is only to make money, you'll take on anyone and everyone, and you'll eventually feel drained, unfulfilled, and stuck. But if your goal is to create impact, you'll choose clients intentionally, you'll build programs strategically, and you'll structure your business around results, not just revenue. And ironically, that's when the money grows faster. Because people are drawn to authenticity, they're drawn to conviction, and they're drawn to coaches who clearly care about their success more than they care about just closing the sale. When people feel your heart for their transformation, they trust you, they follow you, and they invest in you. Here's another hook. Impact creates stories, and stories create sales. When your clients start sharing the breakthroughs they've experienced because of your coaching, you don't have to market yourself as aggressively. Their results speak louder than your words. Their stories become living proof of your value. And the more lives you impact, the more credibility you build, and the more opportunities flow to you without chasing. That's how you move from hustling for income to building momentum through impact. And here's where the legacy comes in. Income is temporary, but legacy is permanent. You can spend income, but legacy spends after you. When you structure your coaching business around transformation and impact, the wealth you build doesn't just stop with you. It can fund your family. It can create opportunities for your children. It can support causes that matter to you. And it can establish institutions that carry your name long after you're gone. That's the power of aligning income with impact. It turns your business into a vehicle not just for lifestyle, but for legacy. But let's be clear about this: impact is not passive. You don't create legacy by hoping or by settling for mediocrity. You create legacy by showing up consistently, by refusing to play small, by believing deeply in the value you offer, and by serving your clients with excellence. Legacy comes when you decide that your business is not just about you making money, but about you leaving a mark that time cannot erase. And once you start thinking in terms of legacy, every decision changes. You stop asking, what will make me money today? And start asking, what will create impact that lasts tomorrow? So don't build your coaching business around quick wins and shallow goals. Build it on the foundation of transformation. Build it on the principle that your income is simply a reflection of how much impact you've created. Because when you create true transformation in people's lives, they will pay you gladly, they will refer you constantly, and they will carry your influence into places you could never reach on your own. That is how impact creates income, and income creates legacy.